tonight, looking back at the achievements of 17 years of democracy.
We have done exceptionally well against all odds in only 17 years.
And the role of local councils in creating jobs in difficult times.
You're looking to about between 6 and 7 million unemployed South Africans who are on the street without a job.
Well, good evening and welcome to yet another special pre-election show. My name is Tabi Sositola, and helping us aside tonight is Thelma Kotza. My co-presenter, Leanne Manets, will be joining us again tomorrow. In tonight's show, we'll focus on the accomplishments of the past 17 years of democracy. And to our viewers, thank you very much for all your SMSs. Keep them coming. And remember, send them to this number, 33726. But remember to begin your message with the word select, followed by the rest of your comment. And that SMS will cost you R1.50 each. You can also follow this broadcast on SABCnews.com. But first up, a wrap of today's latest election news, as usual, compiled for us by Richard Ingram.
At Scottburgh on the KwaZulu-Natal South Coast, the ANC Deputy President, Kgalema Motlanthe, met with business leaders and local residents. While he and the ANC were well received, residents made their concerns about education, crime and job creation known. Mr. Motlanthe acknowledged that a lot more needed to be done, but said residents' concerns topped the ANC priority list.
People will never tire of hearing promises. What people will tire of is lack of implementation of promises.
In Port Elizabeth, the Eastern Cape Premier, Noxolo Kivit, was met by hostile protesters from the Vastrap informal settlement as she arrived in Boyston's Park to hand equipment to a school. Protesters said they were promised houses and clinics, but the projects were cancelled because of the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro stringent budget cuts.
Something that happens throughout South Africa, and which as ourselves as leaders must understand and try and assist our communities.
At Kroonstad, the Free State Premier, Ace Magashule, said despite the many service delivery challenges the government faced at local government level, residents' lives would improve under ANC leadership.
Some of the people are staying in an area which is a wetland, and I think they've agreed that we must take them out of that area. And some of the challenges, there are no recreational facilities for young people.
In Cape Town, the DA today took its campaign to the University of Cape Town. Students wanted to know if it wasn't intimidated by the open-air toilets at Makaza informal settlement.
I stood up in Parliament on the 16th of March on Human Rights Day celebration and debate in Parliament, and I said that if anybody had had their dignity infringed, we greatly regretted it and we were sorry about it. So I apologised in Parliament for that.
We are not intimidated by the ANC Youth League or by the ANC leaders. They are intimidated by us. They are afraid of us. You must always know that politics is not for sissies.
In Pretoria, the Freedom Front Plus leader, Peter Mulder, launched the party's My Municipality website as part of its election campaign. The website's a platform for ordinary citizens to complain about problems directly with their local councils.
If they're not satisfied, the system makes it possible even to register a complaint with the Consumer Commission, where there's something may be done with that side. I think in that sense, we as Freedom Front Plus empower normal citizens to put pressure on councillors.
At Centurion in Gauteng, trade unions undertook not to disrupt the local government elections with industrial action. The unions met with the IEC that called on organised labour to partner it to ensure a successful election.
We have means and ways of fighting our battles with the employer on behalf of our members. But things like elections are very important for our country.
And in Johannesburg, the Constitutional Court has ruled in favour of the IEC in its application against the Electoral Court ruling allowing the late registration of candidates by the Inkatha Freedom Party. The IFP was disqualified because it missed the deadline of the Umsumbi district and asked the IEC for permission to submit its registration in Durban.
Now, with the local government elections merely a week away, the ANC-led government is singing triumphantly over the strides made from 1994 to date. It has, however, acknowledged that many gaps still need to be closed. This report by Venant Dreya and Matau Motua.
It started 17 years ago with millions queuing over a 3-day voting period ensuring apartheid curtains were forever drawn. But the journey has been that of self-praises, commendations and condemnations. However, it was laid on the principles of forgiveness, with former President Nelson Mandela in charge. He steered a transition which saw most people of all races smoking a peace pipe and facing the country's challenges together.
Your Majesties, Your Royal Highnesses.
In the 17 years from the Mandela administration to that of President Jacob Zuma to date, the ANC feels that they have achieved a great deal.
We are proud of the substantial progress we have made together since 1994. In comparison to many countries that have deteriorated after liberation, we have done exceptionally well against all odds in only 17 years.
More than 2 million houses have been built for the poor, providing shelter to over 10 million people. Since the dawn of democracy in 1994, 6 million households have gained access to clean water and 5 million houses have been provided with electricity. Almost 15 million people are now receiving social grants. Of these, 9.5 million are children younger than 14 years. This is compared to only 2.6 million who benefited in 1996. The provinces with the highest number of citizens receiving grants were KwaZulu-Natal, the Eastern Cape, Limpopo and Gauteng. Last year, however, economists warned against the steep rise of social grant recipients compared to the hardly growing basket of individual taxpayers. The view expressed was that the trend was unsustainable and could shift the country towards a welfare state as opposed to the developmental state ambitions. Government also indicated that more than 10 million households had access to sanitation compared to about 5 million in 1994. Housing, though, remains a challenge. After the historic non-racial elections in 1994, it emerged that there was only one formal brick house for every 43 Africans compared to one for every 3.5 whites. Although the government established the Reconstruction and Development Program RDP to address the imbalances, the backlog is huge. According to government sources, nearly 20 million housing subsidies were approved between 1994 and 2003. However, the housing backlog has grown from 1.5 million in 1994 to 2.1 million to date. This means about 12 million South Africans still need proper houses. But this area hasn't been without problems. The government called in the Special Investigative Unit in 2008, which identified more than 31,000 potentially irregular housing subsidy transactions awarded to government employees. It has finalized 29 cases. The department has recovered an amount of over 1.1 million rand of these transactions, while it still expects to recover a further 6.8 million rand. In 2000, government developed a new non-racial, democratic and developmental local government system to ensure that municipalities were up and running. Many today are functioning well. However, others are still lacking and some have even been merged to ensure that service delivery is installed. But with the Zuma administration advocating accountability, effectiveness and clean local government, much action is hopefully yet to be seen. Ministers have signed performance agreements and where they have underperformed, tough action has been taken. At local level, some councillors and mayors who've been underperforming were replaced. On the other hand, economic indicators have revealed that the country is experiencing sustained, albeit steady economic growth from 3.2% in 1994, 4.6% in 2004, and in 2007, 5.5%. In 2008, the GDP plunged to just under 4% and 1.7% in 2009 during the height of the global financial crisis. The local elections will be a big test for the ruling party in the light of the rolling service delivery protests, also for the new policies of the post-Polokwane ANC and Zuma administration. Many of these policies and initiatives relate to service delivery issues, So it remains to be seen whether people's positive or negative views on the success of these initiatives will influence how they vote. Matau Mutra, SABC News, Pretoria.
Well, up next, the role of local councils in creating jobs in very difficult times. Don't go away. We'll be back shortly.
What's up, doggies? The point is, hallelujah!
Excuse me, do I know you?
Well, unless you've been to the States, darling.
I've been to the West Coast.
The West Coast is just across my coast, the other coast.
Back home, we gotta sing for moments like these. It's Brown, and right about now, I'd say it's hitting the fan.
Don't miss it. Stockville, Season 5.
Carletong o sampe a tlhanswa ke figara ya.
Beautiful and slender woman. These young girls don't have any flesh on their bodies.
So rona di dinamana.
Ke tsotse go di accent. E ba tla jola ka nkane. Ke se ngone ya ke mo tsenya ska.
Catch Harudi Mail on SABC2 every Sunday 7 o'clock.
And welcome back. You're watching a special pre-election program, and we're coming to you live from our Johannesburg studios now. 2011 has been declared the year of the job creation by President Zuma. With many people still seeking jobs and the elections just ahead, the question is the issue of unemployment going to affect voter turnout? And are there programs introduced by the government to combat the unemployment enough? Now, this report is compiled to us by Basani Sitole.
Moses Barunga is unemployed and has been seeking employment for the past 18 years. After passing matric in Limpopo in 1992, he came to Gauteng to seek employment. Many years later, he's yet to find a decent, sustainable job. Mr. Marunga relies on the odd jobs he gets from time to time by staying at a street corner.
I'm from Limpopo. That is why I went all the way from Limpopo to come here to look for the break, you see, to come and look for the job and the likes, but no job. I'm here by this side, is dumping side, trying to help people when they come and dump.
Every morning, he and others wake up early to come and stand by the roadside, hoping to be picked up by someone looking for a gardener, painter, or cleaner. Any amount paid to him is sufficient, as long as he can survive for one more day.
I'm getting maybe 4 rand a day, 4 rand or 6 rand. It depends how the people comes. Like I'm helping this guy, he's giving me 5 rand. Another guy comes, he's giving me 2 rand. It depends. When it is raining, it's nothing, because no one will work on the rain or if it is cold.
Despite this, Mr. Marunga has not lost hope in the election process. He still believes that his vote will one day be beneficial to him.
I voted, it's about 2 times I did vote. And then now I did register for this year also for the councils. I will tell them just to give me a job so that I can survive and put the plate on my table and eat.
What about others in a similar position?
I'm unemployed, but I did register to vote. I won't vote while I'm still living in these conditions.
The latest labor force survey released last week indicates a 25% increase in the unemployment rate in the first quarter of this year compared to the last quarter of last year. Northern Cape, Limpopo, Eastern Cape and Mpumalanga had the biggest unemployment increases. A senior researcher for the National Labour and Economic Development Institute, Naledi Kimani Ndungu, says these figures are not going to decrease in the near future.
Unemployment will remain high in the foreseeable future. We are really looking to at least 10 years before we can confidently say that we have seen meaningful change. Right now, our rate of unemployment is 25%. That's the official rate of unemployment, or about 4.2 million unemployed workers. But if you include workers who are too discouraged to go and look for work because either there's no work in their home area or they simply can't find jobs anymore, so they're too discouraged and they're not counted in this regard, we have another about 2.5 million people. So you're looking to about between 6 and 7 million unemployed South Africans who are on the street without a job.
Government has introduced the new growth path, setting a target to create 5 million jobs over the next decade. But is this achievable?
I think the new growth path, one could say, is a good start. It's a fair start, but it's not the ultimate. We need to see much more in terms of government intervention in the economy. But certainly I don't believe that in 10 years' time, at least, we're going to see unemployment going down to at least 12% or say about 2 million unemployed workers.
With the elections just around the corner, job creation opportunities promises are coming from different directions.
We will now build local economies to create more employment and sustainable livelihoods.
First, we have to create jobs through an unrelenting focus on economic growth.
But for people like Patrick Ramohaye, this brings little reprieve as he goes about his daily struggles to survive.
Our government has been promising a lot of things, heavens and earth, but none of those things have been delivered so far. They start talking about houses now because they know 18 May is here to vote, you know. I never registered because I don't think that's anything that's important for me to register now.
While some people still believe in casting their votes, for others, voting is no longer an option. Will unemployment and dim prospect of finding employment affect voters' turnout? The answer can only be determined after Wednesday next week. Basani Stole, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Now, employment increased slightly in April, showing growth in high-skilled jobs but declining in those requiring low skills, according to the latest AdCorp Employment Index released earlier today. Employment grew fast in the higher-skilled occupations, around senior management, professionals as well as technicians. It continued to decline in the low-skilled occupations like domestic work. Now, South Africa has some 829,800 unfilled positions, this for higher-skilled workers across a wide range of occupations with, in fact, according to this index, the skills shortage could limit South Africa's long-term economic growth potential, it said. In sharp contrast, almost 1 million elementary workers are in excess of the nation's needs, as are 24,000 domestic workers. And when the jobless try to eke out a living with informal businesses, they often run into all kinds of unforeseen trouble. Bongeni Mutwa from our economics desk filed this report for us.
Mabel Ngai is an unemployed mother of 4 teenage children. She is originally from Kimberley in the Northern Cape, but now lives in this tiny shack with 2 of her kids. She is upbeat about the upcoming local government elections.
Eglama election azaba khona. Ngifila ngihappy ingathi inhlangano nenhlangano aziphumelele. Umuntu avotela ethandayo ngoba nathi avotela esithandayo. Masiqeda uvote ingathi bangasenzela imisebenzi. Sithole imisebenzi, sithole yonke into ungabikho umuntu ozawuhlupheka. Sithole nendawo zohlala eziright singahlalela emkhukhweni.
It's a sentiment shared by many residents here. Local government is mainly about the delivery of services like water, sanitation, roads and electricity. But for many people in areas like this, jobs seem to be the #1 priority.
Ukuvota siyavota kodwa into esicelayo ukuthi imisebenzi ivuleke ngoba imisebenzi ma ingavuleki ikho kwenza inkinga eziningi nokuthi abantu begcine bemarcha begcine yonke into ingahlangani ngendlela eqondeleyo sokugcina sokungani ukulokuliwa kade ofanelanga ukuliwa kufuze ukuthi into zonke ziqonde.
Uvota siyavota siyafisa umvotela uhulumeni wethu siyamthanda plus futhi kufuze sezile yonke into esiyifunayo basi kalokho simvotela ne ukuze nathi siphumelele yonke into ethu esifisayo njalo everyday sivuka siyamaketha sithole imisebenzi so kufuze sivota asitholele imisebenzi isebenze nathi sikhanye lapho siyakhona ukufundisa abantu abethu nabo bafunde ezikolweni.
High levels of unemployment in the inner cities is also a big challenge for municipalities across the country. But analysts say municipalities seem to be adopting wrong strategies to deal with the issue.
Are street traders part of the solution or part of the problem? We know that the Metro Police targets them and doesn't protect them. Okay, now if we want to solve our unemployment problem, we need to actually be nurturing and embracing small business and micro business, and yet we regard them as a nuisance and a problem.
Municipalities are supposed to facilitate job creation at community level by promoting investment in areas where people live. But failure to reduce red tape for prospective investors is a big obstacle.
Things like zoning, right, needs to be relaxed. We need to recognize that jobs and unemployment are things that need to be resolved. Okay, it doesn't help if we battle with zoning issues, because business and enterprise activity is the only source of wealth. It's the original source of all wealth in a society. And if we don't actually concentrate on wealth production, right, and only sort of focus on the wealth consuming activities, we're going to land up in trouble. Right, and that's the problem, is that at municipal level you can say all sorts of wonderful things at national government level. If it doesn't happen where the rubber hits the ground, it's not going to happen.
It is jobs which would ultimately decide the outcome of the upcoming election. Mbongini Mungchwa, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Now, in our regular round-the-clock insert, we've asked our viewers if they're happy with the services provided to them by Metro Police. But in almost all the replies, the plight of jobless street vendors was highlighted. Take a look.
I always see them around. They are always on the roads taking care of business. But I don't know what happens beyond.
I ke thabise ke SABC re fang ke Metro Police ka ra ba di mshumo bona sa bona ku tja dijo di bribe and so stuff.
Ja, dis is volop ja, kom hier so dat ek sien mos hoe vat hulle bribes en sulke goed is ek sien mos. Ek kan sien hoe vat hulle. Ek werk hier dis hulle kan sien wat hulle gaan.
Abantu bathengisa izinto la estradini la bazama mayifika thatha konke.
Die Metro Police hulle doen nie goed. Die mense wat op strate verkoop, groente verkoop, hulle kom na kom vat hulle die mense se groente dan vat hulle vir hulle en hulle te werk en die mense het nie werk en
They do give some good service, but it could be better. It really could be better in terms of the guys not accepting bribes, for one, and I think just more cops on the street and looking out for ordinary citizens.
Now, no fewer than 6 two-parties are going to be contesting local elections in the Western Cape. Now, after the break, we'll hear from what one of them called, wait for it, the Dacha Party. Yes, you heard it correctly. The Dacha Party are going to be telling you why you should vote for them. Stay tuned.
Rama helps my child grow. That's why I never miss a slice.
Every slice spread with Rama is an opportunity for your child to grow.
Don't miss a slice, Mom.
I won't.
My mom has just won a slice of 1 million rand. Wow. Yeah.
All you have to do is buy 2 500-gram Rama bricks. SMS the codes to 32310 to win your slice of 1 million rands worth of prizes from Rama.
Tonight on Sewende Laan.
Kon jy en Bonita al ding uitpraat? Dis wat buite soms. Dis definitief.
Sewende Laan. Tonight, 6:30.
There is a whole world waiting for you. Innocence is the most precious thing you possess. Lose that and you lose your soul.
What we doing live? Echo
the peace of Islam.
Don't miss our spectacular new Friday night movie slot. SABC2 Home Theatre.
Welcome back. Now, in this segment of the program, we like to puff and pass to all those who would like to be telling you why you should vote for them. This time around, the Dagga Party is one of the many parties contesting the Western Cape. Let's hear why you should vote for them.
I'm calling on the people who support the legalization of Dagga for public benefit to put aside their old party politics and stand together at the ballots. The law against Dagga is based on lies. It is a medicine, a food supply, it provides petrol, fibers, oil, and it could provide some boost to our tourism. Everyone can participate in a Dagga economy. We only have to write the laws to achieve this. The Dagga Party of South Africa believes that the mega-scale planting of Dagga by all citizens of the country is the only way to solve the climate change problem and replace fossil fuels, which damage our atmosphere. We call on people in the Langeberg municipality to support the Dagga Party of South Africa in the ballots. Let's make history for our culture. Viva Amadagga Dagga! Viva! Viva Ixelele Nsango! Viva!
That's our show tonight. And on that high note, we say the show is available on www.sabc.co.za/elections. Lena and I will be back tomorrow evening at 6 right here on SABC2 with more election news. And in one of the stories which is not to be missed, we'll take a very entertaining look at the impact of social media on the elections in general and on all our local elections next week in particular. From me, Tabiswa, as well as Thelma Kotza, our lady helping us to sign, good evening and have a good one.